Well, I don't think I would so much want to argue that it was a plan, that there's something subversive on the side of Robert Key and the team who made the film. I think that it stems out of two things. One is the need to grab the viewer, which all broadcasters are more than aware of, as I'm sure you know. You don't want anyone turning off a sort of 13 hours documentary because it's just started, because they're going to say, oh, God, not this. So what you do is you get them with the thing that really is going to hold them. And two things for sure. Something implicitly critical of the British, how wicked they are, and then lots of explosions. That's the way you get them. And then you kind of come into it rather like a helicopter over the top. You know, it's like Walt Disney films in a way. And right down at the end of it all, just to explain what's happened, is Robert Key in his leather chair. Now that seems to me to be not a very helpful way. It is indeed a way of suggesting, whether they mean to or not, that Ireland is about that. And it is certainly about explosions. And the explosions don't come from anywhere, but as I argued and would continue to argue, they sound IRA. They don't sound supporters of the British. You know, that explosion was one which is caused by people who believe in the Queen. You know, it's as though every explosion has got to be IRA generated. I mean, all of these things, that's the ideology working. It's the implicit, it's the natural. It's what nobody's going to interrogate, nobody's going to stop it, and it's all over within 2-3 minutes, and then we get down to the programme. But we've been set up.
The purpose of a documentary of this kind, to set out the historical facts clearly and to provide the viewer with the information to form a personal judgment.
I don't think there's such a thing as just giving people information on which you then make value judgments. I think the act of giving the information is itself already taking up a position. Again, I'm going to quote from Carr because I'm not a historian, but I happen to think it's very relevant, and there are other kinds of sources. There's no such thing as a fact. Facts, as he says, are not like fish on a slab. They're like fish swimming around in the sea. And if you want to find some facts, you go out with your fishing tackle and you get the ones, by and large, that you fish for. And I think that that's what's got to be remembered, that always interpretation is going to come. There's no such thing as saying, I'll give you a fair and balanced report. Though, interestingly, this is precisely what many people claim to be doing in broadcasting, and yet they can give fair and balanced reports, ignoring some of the major arguments about history and the nature of historiography. They actually manage to do that, just ignoring them. Never mind the specific issue of Ireland, but just the nature of history as a whole. Then if we get to Ireland as such, I don't think there's any way that you can be, if you like, dispassionate about the history of Ireland. Because if you do, you're taking a side anyway. It's to be a side which is either going to say, try not to notice it and it'll go away in the end, or else it's the kind of not taking a side where you say, I want to continue with my research and I don't want to be bothered with the actual specifics of this. I'm an historian, I'm not a politician, etc. Missing, it seems to me, the fact that the political implications of history are so blatantly obvious that one wonders how historians ever found themselves in an ivory tower.
You've described Robert Key's programmes on Ireland as pseudo-academic.
Well, unkindly, but I think truly, it's the beginning of the series sums it up better than anything. If you are, I mean, I sit on a typist's seat, you know, I haven't got a leather chair. And I also, I suppose, my clothes, this Marks and Spencer shirt, you know. There's something wrong somewhere when I see a series of what I would call signifiers that are all telling me, here is academic respectability. The book he holds up, which is unidentified, is not a paperback, you know. I mean, it's actually, it's got a leather cover. And there's a kind of feeling of that sort of academia, which I think is slightly dishonest. It really does encourage the viewer to feel that they should relax now because they're in the company of someone they can trust.